Now, with the help of ChatGPT Copilot in VS Code, as well as my own subject matter knowledge, I guess, in the biotech and healthcare space, I was able to vibe code this entire clinical data visualization agent um, where it reads a clinical data discovery CSV. I think I might have gotten this from Kaggle, presents a data preview of patient data or patient ID, specimen date, dead or alive, sex, race, stage, event, time, so forth and so on, as well as the columns that it detects and adding the roles or representation that each column might mean. So, for example, patient ID might be the per subject. Specimen date is a date. Category is related to dead or alive. Date of death is a date. Sex is a category. Race is a category. Stage is a category. It's even able to understand numeric metrics. So, once it comes up with all this, it's able to provide a rationale where patient ID is a unique unique subject identifier. The time column, although stored as datetime since 1970 with microsecond offsets, clearly represents a time to event duration and is the most suitable primary time variable for survival style analytics. Event is a binary numeric indicator of event occurrence and is the primary outcome metric. So as you can see, it selected those columns and provided the rationale. And when the AI selects these columns, it's basically saying what the most useful and relevant columns it thinks to use based off the data at hand. This is not based off what I think, but what the AI thinks. Now, you can take it and experiment with these columns, or you can say, you know what, I don't really think the AI knows too much about my domain. I think I need to take it in my own hands and begin asking questions of what I want to see. So, for example, we have please give me total count of deaths per stage. As you can see, we have the category dead or alive, as well as the stage, aka this could be like a site ID even. And so we want it's established this question or this ask as a bar chart, wanting the of the um, sum of event. So the event, where'd it go? Whether that individual was dead or alive, one meaning dead, zero meaning alive, counting all that to then bring about the total per staging area. So we have one death or four deaths in PT1PNO or zero. And then we have another or four deaths in T2N0. Now, your first question is going to be why do these two sites or these two stages have the most deaths out of all of them, where maybe you have one, two here, one. Why do these have four? You will immediately want to ask questions. Then we get here to insights. This bar chart shows how many patients died in each disease stage. It matters because it highlights whether deaths are concentrated in later stages or if earlier stages are also seeing unexpected mortality. The study leads should look for stages with unusually high death counts. Check whether the pattern matches clinical expectations and consider if certain stages need closer monitoring, protocol changes, or targeted safety reviews. So not only is it describing and descriptive, it's also prescriptive of, hey, I recognize that there's some high uh, stages that clearly are questionable. You should probably begin asking the question or ask the study lead the question, why? So we're going to run through in that. I am beginning the idea of trying to figure out how to create my own startup that is relevant to creating AI enabled biotechnology tools and healthcare tools for needs like this. So, in the next, we're going to follow along to see what the prompts are. If you want any demos, if you want any ideas on how to create these prompts even better, feel free to reach out. Maybe I can educate you in seeing how we can make it shape your needs for healthcare and biotech scenarios. Now, of course, I understand possibly what you might be thinking, right? Is how did you come up with this in the first place? How did you create this using vibe coding tools at hand? And I'm going to give one take. AI is not meant to be treated as some kind of oracle, right? It's not meant to be treated as simply a Q&A chatbot, right? That we may have used ChatGPT for in the past. Instead, my philosophy is that it should be used as an assistant. It should be used as someone who has its, and I say it on purpose, its ear and eyes to the streets, so to speak, to the world that you can't see. It's your peripheral vision for development, especially when it comes to coding or software engineering, maybe even writing, right? It's a brainstorming tool. So with that being said, ChatGPT, the 5.1 Max codex, was definitely used in this because it has a breadth of knowledge that I simply don't have, right? That I simply probably can't even comprehend, of something scanning the entire internet, right? And coming up with the ideas, novel ideas of how to create this thing. So I treated it, or I treat it as an assistant with the peripheral vision that maybe I don't have to the entire world. So the main uh, tool I use, and this is in no promo at all, is to build using the Chat GPT codex. And starting from, again, start to finish, right? This is kind of all that was primarily used. And switching between models of chat and agent, right? You can see on occasion where it changed to chat mode. Uh, there's maybe on occasion change to agent mode where I'm going back and forth in conversation of how to do this and how to do that. I didn't connect to the Codex Web. I kept the reasoning effort to medium and was using, again, 5.1 Codex Max. With that, I was able to build and get help with building this from start to finish. Of course, to a degree, I had to import certain packages that I felt were useful. Of course, to a degree, I chose the models that I wanted to have as a selection in the app itself here. But for the most part, um, both, it was in tandem where 50-50 between me and the 5.1 agent were developing. Now, the main part that primarily comes from me as the human with judgment is these prompts. Now, the prompts are the gold mine to any agentic or AI agent process that can do things on its own. So, for example, I have the LLM select columns prompt. You are a clinical trial and analytics data expert. The user has uploaded a generic CSV. Your task: assign roles to each column. Assign whether it's an ID, assign whether it's a site role, assign whether it's a subject. And again, based off your data, you shape this prompt to whatever your data is, right? You shape it to whatever possible roles you could encounter, right, from the CSV you're entering. And make sure you spit it out as this JSON structure with the rationale as to why you chose this as the primary time column, why you chose this as the primary group column, and so forth and so on. So that's the, again, what you saw in the beginning, where it defines the roles per column, right? And we have the column statistics here that you can view as well, to see, whether it's an inferred type, what it states. And I think this was using pandas. Um, I'm pretty sure. So now we get from the LLM select columns piece to the build chart. Now, this one has a mix between probably 70% me and 30% of the AI, right? Because one thing that the AI does have and does not have is it does have the ability to shape a general sense of what the prompt should look like. But it does not have a general idea of what your use case is for your particular scenario. So this is where you have to work together with the prompt in tandem of bouncing off ideas of how to shape the prompt from start to finish. So this one is pretty long. I'm not going to run through all of it with you, but I'll give you the first few sentences. You are an AI visualization planner for any tabular data set. Now, I have older videos that showcase using AutoGen, or I think LangChain even, for developing visualizations. I will tell you, as time has gone on, you do not need these Python REPL tools or these AutoGen tools to simply produce a visualization. You can now use these foundational models, these LLMs from OpenAI, to produce the visualizations, write the code, and they are very well good at it. I think even Gemini Nano Banana is able to do data analysis and produce infographics and visualizations based off the data. So it's not limited to, tools that were used originally. Things are moving fast enough to where you might have to do some exploration, or might have to just it's okay to dedicate with just using a LLM model to produce the code that's needed for a visualization. And I'll run through that in a bit. But you're an AI visualization planner for any tabular data set. You will receive a tabular data set representing clinical trial data or related metadata, a description of the columns, names, data types, roles such as site, subject, enrollment date, visit date, arm, country, etc. Now, arm also means like different groups for this clinical trial. A user's natural language question about the data, typically asked by a clinical data scientist, trial operations lead, or site manager. Now, here's the important part. You, in your prompt, whenever you're giving a full-blown prompt to an AI agent that you wanted to do a particular task, don't just give it a little receive. Don't just state kind of the checks and balances and the rules and constraints that it needs to follow. Give it a primary job from the jump, right? Translate the user's question plus data set schema plus column roles into the best visualization type and specification. The chart should maximize clarity, interpretability, and relevance in a clinical trial context. Important, do not default to time series unless the question explicitly implies it. Now, the reason why this was needed is because I noticed that way in the beginning during development with very minimal AI, it was diverting only to wanting to use time series charting. But I wanted to have a breadth of using, as you can see here, using maybe uh, correlation matrices, uh, um, bar charts for readability, heat map, what else? Histograms, stack bar charts. I didn't want it to just be relevant for time series data, or just for this AI to see a date and automatically believe, oh, well, a chart, a chart that represents time series information is probably the easiest. I wanted more than that. So, anyways, it's a long prompt. I may include this depending on how much I play with it into the final code. I do plan to upload this to GitHub, um, and you guys can take it. But primarily, this is the gold, right, behind the surface of the application, right? We already saw how it detects the columns and the specific, go back up here, how it detects the columns and the possible roles it assigns to it. We've just seen that. We went through how it comes with rationale, the AI columns that are the columns that it selects via AI. We just went through the AI visualization engineer that brings back, or that translates the user question into the specifics for the chart. One more that I want to show you, and this is relevant to way in the beginning, where I was playing around with AutoGen. I highly recommend you check out my older videos way in the beginning, because you'll see the lead up and why I'm so excited with this. So, um, Yeah, we get to this generate plotly code. And originally I was using AutoGen, I was using LangChain, I think, and the Python REPL tool to produce code for visualizations. And it wasn't always that good. But nowadays, presently with 5.1 and whatever else that has been rolling out, this logic, the logic it produces from the Plotly code generator, it's pretty nice. So as you can see, I have this prompt. Again, this is the gold here. You are a senior Python data visualization engineer. Write Python code that uses pandas data frame, DF, uses plotly.express as PX, applies grouping, aggregation, time bucketing if needed, produces a variable named fig, aka figure. Do not import anything, print anything, wrap in code fences. Now, the model 5.1 Codex Max actually produced this prompt on its own. Like I said, the main one where I had again majority of my own piece into it was this large one. But again, if you are a clinical trial professional, if you are a manufacturing professional, you for the prompt that and for this specific case, for the prompt that's supposed to decide how this visualization is supposed to be produced, aka this one, where it builds the chart specifics, you want to make sure that you add your own specifics to the prompt, add your own take and taste and judgment. I want to capitalize on the word judgment of what the how the model should produce the specifics, right? Similar to what I said, I did not want to just see time series for date from clinical trial data. That's not always useful. Depending on the question, a user might want to see a heat map, right? That represents correlations or matrices, probably. A user might want to see a bar chart. A user might want to see a box plot, a histogram, especially stacked bar charts, right? Representing different groups. That can be pretty helpful. Add your own take to the prompt, and that's if you are a subject matter expert, add your own take to the prompt, and that's what will make it yours. That's what will add to the whole conversation of IP, right? I think prompts, and I not I think, I know that now and in the future to come, prompts will be the IP for every single thing. If you can produce a phenomenal prompt that gets a job done that most people can't even think of to do, right? They have no idea how you did it. That will be your gold. That will be your moat, again, so to speak, uh, in your in trying to your edge in when it comes to competition. So again, we bypass that. It's able to generate the code, yada yada yada, whoop de doo, and then again we get to where this one also primarily I had to create myself clean and parse date time columns. One thing I'll state is originally with the AI in this whole pair programming thing that I was doing, um, it wasn't accommodating to if a CSV wasn't formatted correctly. So by creating this clean and parse date time column function, um, and I think this uses pandas, yeah, PD. Whenever a CSV would come in, it should automatically be formatted and cleaned, uh, removing null values, um, making sure the date and time is formatted correctly, so forth and so on. So again, you need to pair program with your AI copilot, whatever it may be, whether it's Claude, whether it's, as you can see, Claude and GPT are right here. I use them fairly frequently. Again, I like GPT more so than Claude these days. I know 4.5 from Claude, I think, came out recently. I think that's the newest one. And I haven't used it myself, but I've heard good things about it. But you want to make sure that again you have the final say. You don't want AI to have the final say, and then you kind of just produce AI slop, which I think has become very very popular these days. If you haven't seen the past videos, Anisha, who has been in conversations on these videos, has mentioned has written kind of AI slop posts on LinkedIn. Highly recommend checking around and seeing that perspective of, yeah, like AI slop is a real thing. AI slop only happens. It's a human error, actually. AI slop only happens because a human is not there doing their due diligence to judge the final product from AI. Like I said in the beginning, AI is not meant to be an oracle. AI is not meant to be a simple Q&A. AI is not benevolent and omnipotent yet. Hopefully not. Hopefully I don't jinx it. But but it's meant to be an assistant. It's meant to help you find out where your Achilles heel is. It's meant to be your peripheral vision in development, in your brainstorming. So treat it as such. It's a very powerful tool, but it's not powerful in your own mind, your own creativity, and your own judgment. Keep that in mind whenever you're developing with AI developing with AI as a co-pilot. Now, this is day one, and I know what you're thinking. Day one of what? This is day one of me trying to create a startup dedicated to AI enabled tools for biotech, healthcare, and pharma. Now, reason why I'm going to be recording uh, all these tools and things that I'm developing is because I'm taking you through the process of what it might be like to get something GXP regulated, what it might be like to have a tool that could be used by researchers of different universities, to have a tool that may that could be used to change someone's life through maybe an optimization of a process, right? Clinical trials can take very, 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 very long. I think they've sped up now, but even then they're very long. Simulating different trial processes, determining where the best sites to stand up certain trial um, sites at, determining how to visualize certain data that you get in CSVs, or maybe that you're trying to connect to whatever database. I want to take you guys on this journey because I'm still going to do content, still going to do different tutorial pieces and how to's, but overall, I think this is something that I've really wanted to do, and it's calling my name. And so, yeah, I'm going to have a crack at it. And if I fail, you guys will see it. And if I succeed, you guys will see it. Um, but yeah, follow along and let's see how far we get. And with that being said, bye bye.